Let's face it, after 26 years of playing Half-Life, it's only natural to feel like you have done everything. You played all the expansions, mods, remakes, and maybe now you are craving something new. Why don't you try Half-Life 3? Oh wait. That's only gonna come out next year. This is where Half-Lives get in the picture. These are games that take inspiration from Half-Life, or have similar gameplay experiences, or just simply the same unmistakable vibe. Welcome to the second episode of Games to Play when you have had enough of Half-Life. In this series, I talk about Half-Lives, mostly from the indie scene, and I have 3 of these games for you today. So let's get into it. Our first game today is ADACA. Initially, I wanted to talk about this game in my previous video, and I was quite surprised how many of you have suggested it to me in the comments. I actually thought this was a hidden gem and I'm gonna show you something new, but turns out it's not. Anyway, ADACA has been around since 2022, but I'm gonna be honest, after seeing the screenshots for the first time, I was a bit hesitant. I wasn't entirely sure that ADACA is a game for me, because I've never been a huge fan of this art style. Oh boy, I was so wrong. Before we get into any more details, let me emphasize something. This game was created by one person, a single developer. The game is set in the future, on a planet called ADACA, surprisingly. We play as an ex-soldier named
Jesse! 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 Jesse!
Jesse is waken up by this strange scientist guy, Dr. Chops. Turns out we've been in hibernation for quite a while, probably a few centuries. That's when our ship crashed on ADACA. Since our left arm is not exactly in the best shape, well, it's missing, he replaces it with a synthetic arm that actually has some benefits. We can lift, pull, and even throw objects, similarly to the gravity gun in Half-Life. The only difference is we can do this while shooting, no need for a weapon switch. That's pretty cool. We have about 2 seconds to have fun with the arm, and then the police shows up. Dr. Chops is not sure why the police is here, but we gotta run. It's clear from the beginning that ADACA is not exactly in the best shape. It seems like an entirely lawless, abandoned place, where everyone is just trying to survive somehow. Turns out the doc is friends with a faction called the Free Scrappers. They are essentially harmless scavengers who are just trying to get by. Their little village looks lovely. The whole place has a western vibe with these buildings, and blasting the police with these futuristic guns in this environment is so surreal. I love it. I think this was the point where I completely changed my mind about the graphics. Anyway, once we fight them back, Dr. Chop says that we should head for the Free Scrappers HQ, and also to avoid the service tunnels, because they are not safe. So guess what? We go through the service tunnels. Screw you, Doc. I do whatever I want. This was a mistake. I'm scared. Please help. Yeah, this game can be real scary sometimes. The tunnels are full of these zombie-like robots and these strange purple signs everywhere. Why do I have a feeling that this is some kind of cult? I honestly felt so relieved when I finally reached the Free Scrappers. And I gotta say, their town looks beautiful. Dude, I could easily sit down here, crack a beer, and just chill. You guys mind sharing a beer with me? No? Okay. We fall asleep to have some rest, but a huge light beam wakes Jesse up in the middle of the night. And well, seemingly everyone else too. Or they just have insomnia, I'm not sure. It's coming from the exclusion zone, which is a fenced off area full of who knows what. Yes, something like Stalker. Kelly thinks the beam has to do something with Dr. Chops, and we should go to the exclusion zone to investigate in the middle of the night. That's a great idea, Kelly. This is where the game really picks up. We go to the easy that is full of police, anomalies, and turns out the purple signs indeed belong to a cult, named the Conflux. They are kinda crazy, building mutant robots and believe in a god they call Chimera. Throughout the second half of the game, we basically get to know the exclusion zone and try to find Chops. We go through tunnels, which are even scarier than before, especially the level called Phantoms. God, please, never again. Visit the Conflux HQ and see how they build the machines, gross. Check out the famous PewDiePie bridge, and we find out what Chops is up to, but I'm not going to spoil that. And that's the campaign. Well, that was the campaign, until earlier this year, when episode 3 came out, so we finally get to see how the Jesse saga ends. However, this is kind of a standalone story, so I will let you explore this yourself. Okay, so what do I think? Wait, hold on. You thought the story mode was ADACA's only game mode? Oh, you are wrong. There is a thing called Zone Patrol, and it was the real surprise for me. Zone Patrol is a Stalker / Tarkov style game mode. We basically enter the exclusion zone, the same area we played the game in, but this time enemies, anomalies, and loot are randomized. We need to collect artifacts to buy stuff, complete objectives, explore, find notes, and basically do whatever it takes to survive. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting anything like this, but this mode is super fun. I spent hours playing only Zone Patrol, and I'm pretty sure I will keep getting back to it. And now, the usual question, what do I think? I'm really close to saying ADACA is a masterpiece. When I first bought this game, I never thought it would be such a complex jam. The world and the story is a lot deeper than it looks. If you keep an eye out, look around, talk to NPCs, and maybe read the notes, you will learn a lot about ADACA and how it became what it is today. I love the idea of this abandoned, lawless planet full of different factions and mysteries. I also have to talk about the combat. The way they implemented the synthetic arm is amazing. It's so fluid, it just fits into the combat perfectly. It took me a few minutes to get used to it, but after a while I found myself looking for objects that I can blow up or throw during every fight, which is super fun. The game also has quite a few Half-Life homages, and I gotta say I love to see these. The crowbar enemies, the Combine-like police. This section, for example, is straight out of Half-Life. I think the only issue with ADACA is the graphics. If someone is not into the low poly style, it can take some time to get used to it. But please, give it a chance, because below these colorful graphics lies a deep and fascinating story. And well, some seriously spooky sections that will scare the crap out of you. And I'm gonna give ADACA 9 Jesses out of 10. Amazing. Our next game is HROT. Well, actually, it's pronounced as HROT.
HROT.
And I promise this is the last time I'm gonna say it. This game was recommended to me in the comments, and I really appreciate it because it's truly something else. It's quite different from the other games because it's more similar to Quake rather than Half-Life, but I still wanted to talk about it. And the main reason for that is this game has some really strong Half-Life 2 beta vibes. I have to mention that this is also a one-person game, and the guy even built his own game engine in Pascal. That's insane. Anyway, the game takes us back to '86, a time when Czechoslovakia was still a country. It split into the Czech Republic and Slovakia in '92. No need to thank me for the history lesson. The game is centered in Prague, where some mysterious incident has occurred. What kind of incident? We don't know, but it doesn't matter. There is some story about Prague's iconic astronomical clock,
Orloj.
but let's not pretend you play this game for the plot. HROT is a classic boomer shooter. Oh crap, I said it again. We are hunting keys, flipping switches, and blasting everything that moves. But there are two things that make this game special for me: the art style and the level design. If you look at these footages at first, you probably think, why is this special? Everything is just brown. Yeah, sure, but this is one of the things that builds the atmosphere so perfectly. It creates an oppressive, hopeless vibe that just simply works. Everything's rusted, old, and you can basically smell the musty metallic scent in the air. And the soundtrack and ambient sounds add so much to this depressing and dark atmosphere. The OST is actually up on YouTube. If you like dark, atmospheric, and sometimes industrial tunes, then this one is for you. Anyway, I love that the game doesn't take itself too seriously. It's full of hilarious Easter eggs and references to Czechoslovakian history. For example, Gustav Husak, the country's president around that time, comes up a lot. We can find his photos that we can kiss. episode titles inspired by him, like Kiss Me Gustav, Degustation, and yes, he even shows up as a boss fight. Hilarious. Speaking of bosses, this game has one of the most creative ones I've ever seen. A gorilla disguised as a carnival game, a gym goat, no, not a real goat, it's a gym equipment, but still terrifying. And this guy, yeah, I will let you decide who this is, but he's definitely the toughest boss in the game. Oh, and did I mention the medkits? They are wine bottles. And yeah, you can get drunk. The guns in the game are fun, but I wish there were a little bit more of them. But still, the ones we have are pretty unique. I actually did some research, and a lot of the weapons are based on real-life Czechoslovakian designs. Crazy attention to details. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, the level design. It's fantastic. Everything's perfectly connected, we need to find different keys, different switches, and every level has a bunch of secrets. And trust me, those can be real painful to find. Some levels even has 8 secrets. Yes, 8. There's also a great variety in locations like castles, small villages, hospitals, and we even get to visit a uranium mine. What's even more interesting is that these locations are real. I actually found some comparisons online and they match. Just look at this. That's pretty cool. If you like boomer shooters, dark aesthetics, or just want to try something really unique, then give it a shot. And I'm giving it 8 Gustavs out of 10. Now go and give Gustav a goodnight kiss or something. Okay, before we get into this one, I have a confession to make. I've never really been much of a James Bond fan. The only Bond movie I've seen is Casino Royale, but no Sean Connery, no Pierce Brosnan, none of the classics. I can't really explain why, it's just something I never got around to. I mean, I have a huge list of movies and shows I want to watch, and the Bond movies are somewhere at the bottom. On the other hand though, I've always loved the James Bond games. GoldenEye on the N64, Tomorrow Never Dies on the PS1. I probably spent hundreds of hours playing these games. Just think about it. Insane gunfights, cool gadgets, undercover missions, high-speed car chases. Isn't that the kind of game every kid dreams about? Hell yeah. And that brings me to 007 Nightfire. I was quite surprised that Nightfire is not actually based on a movie. It's a completely different story. So hey, maybe my lack of Bond movie knowledge will actually work out this time. Anyway, Nightfire was released a few years after Tomorrow Never Dies, in 2002. It came out for the PS2 era consoles, PC, and even the Game Boy, but that's a different story. The funny thing is that the console and PC versions are completely different. I realized this while I was looking up walkthroughs. The console version has epic car chases and better looking cutscenes, which isn't saying much. The PC cutscenes are truly awful.
You're the deep cover agent?
Oh, it's not as deep as it looks.
The reason I'm talking about Nightfire is, well, first of all, it was recommended in the comments, and also because it's running on the same engine as Half-Life, the Gold Source, which is quite interesting to me. In 2002, Half-Life was already 4 years old, so I'm not entirely sure why they chose this engine, but whatever, let's see. The game doesn't really mess around too much and immediately starts off with a mission briefing. An important missile guidance hardware was stolen, and the person behind the theft might be Raphael Drake. This guy is a respected and wealthy businessman and founder of the Phoenix International, a company that decommissions nuclear weapons. According to the intel, Drake will sell the device tonight to a guy named Mayhew in his castle in Austria. So that's our first stop. Really? The game starts off with a snowy level? I think I might like 007 after all. The mission is simple. Sneak into the castle and gather intel on Drake. Well, I still suck at sneaking, so this happened. Once we make it inside, Bond changes into a tux to blend in at Drake's fancy party. Is this how you do it? Am I blending in? We also get to use our first gadget, the lighter, which is also a camera. Pretty cool. Except, our first task is to take photos of women at a party. Okay, James, I think that's a little creepy. Turns out that Drake's girlfriend is actually an undercover agent, who is also 007's lover? I don't know anymore. Nightshade, another agent, shows up. Yes, there are a lot of agents. And she seems jealous. Oh, James, what a womanizer. The deal is going down, so it's time to crash the party and get the stolen device. Stealth is officially out the window, so time for a little bloodshed. Don't you think flashbangs last a little too long? No? Okay. Agent Nightshade blows our cover, and Drake locks down the entire castle, so we need to escape through a cable car. That's a pretty awesome section, but we still need to get off the mountain somehow. We find an airport, and the plan is to steal a plane. That sounds easy. Sneak through the airport, avoid the cameras, then cover Nightshade from the tower while she makes a run for it. The sniper is definitely my favorite weapon in this game. Giving no scopes to these peasants is so satisfying. We fly away with Nightshade, and the next stop is Mayhew's mansion in Japan. This is 100% my favorite level. The Japanese aesthetics look awesome, and somehow the Gold Source engine makes it even more charming. I had a flashback of the Condition Zero deleted scenes, Japan levels. I love it. Oh, and we also get the creek from Counter-Strike. The mansion is split into multiple sections, and there is a brief loading screen every time you transition. This definitely feels like an engine limitation. We do some insane Bond moves to save the staff, rescue Mayhew from his panic room, but Drake's henchman, this ninja guy, is already waiting for us. Small boss fight, but unfortunately the ninja got Mayhew, RIP. But his waifu will stay with us. Our next stop is Drake's HQ in Tokyo. This is one of the longest missions in the game. We need to sneak in without killing any of the security, so time to use our new gadget, the Sleeping Dart Pan. I love this. Then install a worm software on the computers, climb the tower from the outside. This is insanely awesome. I gotta say, waltzing through this empty office building with the rain outside in the middle of the night is such a vibe. When we finally make it to Drake's office, these statues are a bit too much for me, man. A helicopter shows up, but taking it down with this rocket launcher is pretty easy. But James still need to make a jump for it. Surprise, surprise, Mayhew's waifu was a traitor this whole time. She hands us over to Drake, who's just trying to enjoy his caviar.
I'd ask you to join us, Mr. Bond, but why waste caviar on a man who won't live long enough to enjoy it?
But he also figures out that Nightshade is a CIA agent, so she's also RIP. Now we need to escape from the same office building we have seen before, but this time we go from top to bottom. Destroy a few servers, get lost 100 times, only to realize after 10 minutes that this is where you have to go, that dark window. You see? Trivial, isn't it? Another agent, yes, more agents, Allura, rescues us, and we head to Drake's private island. This is actually a pretty chill level. It's quite short, and they completely nailed the jungle atmosphere. Loved it. The next mission starts with... yeah, we are still in the jungle. We investigate Drake's factory and find out he's planning some sort of world takeover evil plan with a bunch of rockets. We fight another ninja in the blast pit, and waifu goes down in a very painful way. Drake is at the space station, so we do a quick visit to space and confront Drake. When I said Soldier of Fortune's final boss was the most underwhelming, I lied. This is it. Drake is dead, the world is saved, and Bond gets the girl. The third one, I think. And credits. Not yet.
Oh, James.
Okay. Alright, what do I think? I genuinely liked Nightfire's story. It's a simple, cheesy spy movie with love, betrayal, and everything you would expect. The areas look charming and lovely. They definitely milked everything out of the Gold Source engine. But I think that led to some trade-offs. For example, the levels are split into a lot of smaller pieces, and textures are definitely less detailed. I also love the gadgets we have. I use the laser watch a lot to open containers, and of course the dart pen to put these little babies to sleep. However, most of the gadgets can only be used in really specific places, where the game actually lets you do it. For example, the phone hook. You can't just go around hooking everywhere, which is fine, but I wish more secrets or secondary objectives were related to these gadgets, because this way the only one that's really useful is the watch. But I think for me, the the biggest problem was the cutscenes. These are awfully low quality and there are way too many of them. And they are completely different from the game's graphics, which looks odd. All things considered, Nightfire is a bit of a hit or miss experience. Sometimes it works. It can be charming, interesting, and even exciting in a few combat scenarios. But sometimes it's just ugly and frustrating. The main upside of Nightfire is that it's completely free. It's an abandonware, so you can just get it from nightfirepc.com and even play online if you want to. I found one server which was not completely empty, so I gave it a try, and I gotta say it was really fun. I'm not sure if these were actual players because I was surprisingly good, which I'm usually not. At some point I even asked, "Are you guys real?" but no one answered, so I guess not. But it was nice, so I don't care. I would say if you like janky gold source games or James Bond movies, or maybe both, then definitely give this a try. Otherwise, I will probably stick to GoldenEye on the N64, and I will give Nightfire 00 and 7 out of 10. That was a cool joke, right? I think that was cool. Originally, I wanted to include GSTRING in this video. GSTRING is an amazing Half-Life 2 mod that turned into a standalone game, but when I started playing again, I realized it has so much content. They even added extra stuff since the last time I played it, so I figured it deserves to have its own video. So that's coming in the future. And that's all I had for today. I want to say thank you again for all the recommendations. I've actually made a huge list and trying them out one by one, so there will definitely be more episodes of this series. And if you feel like chatting about games, mods, or pretty much anything, feel free to join our Discord. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye!